Mobile County Sheriff's Office paid more than $6 million in overtime pay last year. The sheriff, though, says no one's cheated the system, even the department's top overtime worker, who was recently fired for allegedly forging signatures to gain ownership of confiscated vehicles. Being a sheriff's deputy or a corrections officer at Metro Jail are tough jobs, often requiring long hours. That said, Sergeant Daniel Holyfield was a busy man last year at the Mobile County Sheriff's Office, working an almost incomprehensible 2,600 overtime hours. He was fired and arrested last month for theft, but that had nothing to do with his overtime pay of $148,000. If Holyfield took a 2-week vacation, that means he averaged 92 hours a week on the job in the other 50 weeks of 2022. If he never took a day off, that means he worked 12.6 hours a day for all 365 days in the year.
If you do the numbers, they're working 90 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. I mean, is that even physically possible to work that amount of time?
Well, I would say one would be tired, but again, you have those people who live and breathe working.
After requesting a list of employee hours worked, we talked to new Sheriff Paul Birch about the overtime situation in the Sheriff's Office and at Metro Jail.
You're always going to have a number of people who just like working and like making the money. But anytime you have an excessive number of overtime hours, you want to take a look at it.
We took a look at it and found that Holyfield wasn't the only employee to amass more than 2,000 hours of OT in 2022. Another sergeant worked almost 2,400 hours of overtime. He and Holyfield combined made almost $300,000 in overtime pay. Both made more than $234,000 total in 2022. And they weren't alone. There were 18 workers last year who logged more than 1,000 overtime hours, meaning they averaged about 20 hours of overtime a week. They earned a combined $1.3 million in overtime pay.
You have no concern that these hours worked are all legit?
None whatsoever. Yeah.
Even these guys who are working 90 hours a week on average?
There's no way to cheat the system.
Still, Birch, who became sheriff in January, says he recently made changes to the overtime system.
It was just kind of, lack of a better term, just willy-nilly as to how it made it down the payroll.
Birch says changes have been made to how, when, and most importantly, to whom workers report their overtime.
More oversight to the overtime.
Can you say that this year we won't have another person or two working 2,000 hours of overtime?
I would safely say that would be, that won't happen. Again, we put some more oversight in place.
Birch says it's the nature of law enforcement to have employees putting in long hours. He says the problem's been made worse through a shortage of workers, Mardi Gras, and COVID-related issues. The Mobile County Commission provides the bulk of the Sheriff's Department budget and cuts the checks for all Sheriff's Office employees. None of the 3 county commissioners wish to be interviewed for this story.